Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 152. Big Box Steve and the mic, Big Smooth, and Fresh Wes. We got our weekly movie review coming up and talking sports, which we'll get into first here. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Appreciate everybody listening. The more watch hours, the better. That's what we need. So jump into sports right away. And we got to talk NBA playoffs because that's obviously one of the biggest sports things happening right now. Well, we'll just start with the Knicks. We talked about this in earlier podcasts. What were the chances of the Knicks beating the Celtics? Because I think we all kind of had them here against the Celtics, right? When we talked about it before.
Yeah.
Wes, I remember you saying that the Knicks didn't have a chance to beat the Celtics.
I mean, that just shows you how much I invest in the NBA. I mean, honestly, it's not that much of a surprise just because the Celtics are just dealing with injuries. That they seem healthy coming into the playoffs. But Jalen Brunson's like my favorite player right now. I just love watching him play. He's just relentless. I mean, he's hurt. He's playing hurt. No.
There's a big difference between Jason Tatum and Jalen Brunson, right?
Yeah.
Brunson's played hurt a lot lately.
Well, if they make it to the next round against the Pacers, that's the reason the Pacers beat them the last time they played because Brunson got hurt and he was out. He gets beat up all the time in the lane.
But we don't. So let's not give it to the Knicks yet. Still 3-2.
I know.
Going back to New York, what are the chances that New York closes them out here in game six in New York?
I hate to say this, prefacing I am a Knicks fan, but to be fair, what haven't the Celtics been up by 20 in almost every game?
There's a lot of comebacks by the Knicks.
Yeah. So the Knicks need to actually go and win this game. They need to not be down. They need to not. I mean, that's the thing is like they keep getting down by so much. This last game, they were down by 14 in the third quarter. It's like, dude, without Tatum.
Right.
So, yeah, the Knicks, I'm not saying it's a must win like some other, so-called people out there, say. Because the Knicks have beat them twice in Boston already. So you can't just say, oh, they can't win in Boston.
But you think about if they didn't make those comebacks, the series would already be over.
Yeah.
What do
If the
you think, Wes?
Celtics wouldn't shoot 80 something
Oh.
threes, the series would have went over.
Yeah. I mean,
Wes, who's your call in game six in New York? Knicks, Celtics.
I'm taking the Knicks,
Close it out.
Yeah. Yes. They should. And if they don't, they just lost game five, which was ridiculous. I was like, I just turned off the TV. I'm like, screw this. And so they should. Well, I mean, again, this isn't like 1995 here, These teams just like to shoot 3-pointers, run around. I think the key, I think Brunson needs Towns to really step up.
Right.
And Towns has got to Towns is going to have to take over at some point, I think, for them to, because Boston's just not going to roll over. Just because
No.
lost Tatum, they got
Tatum or not, they have tons of talent.
they got guys. They got a deep roster. Guys who Jalen Brown is not going anywhere. So I think they're going to do it because they're playing at home. I think the crowd's going to be energized. I think Towns has a big game. I hope
Yeah,
so.
I agree. Actually, I agree that New York closes it out, and I think Towns goes for 25 and 15 and wins the game. Boston, the only way they win this game is Peyton Pritchard has a big game. That's the only way they win because he has to make up a little bit for Tatum, but Jaylen Brown is going to be, he's going to probably score 22. Derek White will score in the 20 range. But if Peyton Pritchard doesn't hit 20 points, I don't think you can outscore the Knicks. Because you're going to get, 12 to 16 from both Bridges and OG, right?
Well, who knows? The Celtics might just come out and shoot every shot a 3-pointer, break the all-time record.
I'm surprised they haven't already. That's all they do.
Oh,
They
you
just
know what I
pop.
would do if I was commissioner?
We could talk about the commissioner later with the lottery.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's definitely a good topic. But what about Pacers, Cavs? It's obviously done, but was this not the biggest surprise of the playoffs?
Well, we'll find out after game 7 of OKC and Denver.
There's no way I had Cleveland losing at
Right.
this point.
But to be fair, like we talk about, okay, Boston without Tatum, but like Cleveland, Mitchell's been hurt, Garland's been hurt. I mean, they've had lots of injuries. They weren't at full strength.
I don't know. I just don't think you need to be at full strength as Cleveland to beat Indiana. So maybe Indiana played above their level, but I would never have picked Cleveland to lose this series.
Well,
I did. I did because I
Halliburton
made a bet on
is
it. And the only problem is I really do want New York to win, but I do have a bet going here. So I did pick Indiana to beat Cleveland.
this is actually good for me
Yeah.
because my Florida Gators won the national championship because Wes bet against them and on Houston. So now Wes is bet against the Knicks. So that's feeling good here.
I knew I should have said anything. Did I? I'm like, I should not have said a word because I look at the Pacers. Of course, I like Halliburton. They they're deep too. They got one of the best coaches in the NBA. I just don't think when it comes to like a guy you really go to when you need like a Brunson, they don't have really
Right.
that.
But what they do have more than the Knicks is they have a ton of depth because
Yeah.
when they come off the bench or even with their current players, like you're going to like Toppin and Nieberhard and TJ McConnell, you're not losing a lot when you go to these guys. Or Naismith who, goes back and forth. So yeah, they have their core, which is Siakam, Halliburton, and what's their power forward's
Miles
name?
Turner.
Turner, right. So that's their core, right? But they have a ton of talent on that team. They may not be as talented as the Knicks at the starter position, but I think they're way deeper.
Well, I would just say it's just I don't know if they're way deeper. It's just the way that oh gosh,
Oh, Thibodeau,
yeah, Thibodeau
yeah,
likes to run his team.
right. Because he plays them a lot of minutes, but that also is tough down the stretch as these series get longer and the playoffs go deeper.
I mean, because on the Knicks bench they have Lander Shamat, Precious Achiuwa, PJ Tucker, Cameron Payne. They're not scrubs on the bench. They just don't play them.
Yeah, I don't know if I mean, they're not bad, but because they're in the NBA, but I still think overall,
Oh, I'm not saying taking Obi Toppin over Precious Ashawulo.
really,
Yeah,
look at
the Knicks got rid of Obi Toppin because Precious was better.
Topman had a pretty good season off the bench. I don't know. I kind of think Indiana has a chance,
I
but
think
we'll get into that. The Knicks have to win
well,
first, right?
Yes, the
well,
Knicks have to
yeah,
win.
we might be getting ahead of
We
us.
might be getting a little ahead of ourselves here with the
This is yeah. Let's predict. Yeah, Indiana really has a chance against the Knicks as long as the Knicks beat the
Make it.
Celtics,
Yes.
right.
which they should.
So, but I mean, Indiana's already in it, so at least they have that going for them. Let's jump over the West Conference for a second because man, so tonight the Thunder pull off a big win, now tie at 3-3
I mean, the
going
Nuggets,
to
the
game
Nuggets pulled off
seven.
a big win.
What's that?
Nuggets won.
You said the Thunder pulled off a big win.
Oh, no, the Nuggets, sorry.
Same thing.
So
I
now we're going 3-3 Nuggets Thunder. Obviously Minnesota already closed out, which against the, no Steph Curry Warriors team, like they really had a kind of an easy route.
Yeah. The no defense Lakers, and
Right,
then you got the no Curry
right.
Warriors. Well, thank Houston for that. Rockets choking.
So who wins game seven? What's your guys' pick here? Thunder, Nuggets.
you got. I don't have a quarter on me right now. Yeah.
It's a coin flip. Is that what you're saying? I mean, the way they've played the series, it could be because they're up and down, back and forth the whole time.
Yeah, I know it's gonna sound odd, but I'm taking the Nuggets.
Nuggets.
You can't stop Jokic. Jamal Murray is healthier now.
He's playing a lot better. I mean, he's over 20 a game in the last, what, 3 games?
Yeah. You saw what Christian Braun did tonight. And Westbrook is still a weapon off the bench.
Um. Yeah. I think I'm going to take the Nuggets too because Murray he wasn't even really supposed to play tonight, and he was out there. I mean, he gave him played what 41 minutes. Um. You know. Westbrook is playing better. He had a pretty bad stretch where he's like 3 for 26, but he's playing better. You know who played pretty good tonight was Strother.
Yeah.
He had some big shots. Yeah, I think OKC just looks a little discombobulated on offense. Shea has to do too much. Shea kind of hurt his shooting hand tonight. So I mean, I'm sure that's not going to be such a big deal, but it seems like that the Nuggets are getting their second win. Jokic is getting more help. I think he looks a little tired in the fourth. He's getting kind of to that point where it's like, okay, help me please. And tonight, everyone's hitting their threes. So um, I think it's going to be close. I'm just going to take the Nuggets because why not?
Why not?
I mean, am I personally invested in either team? No, I'm not. So I'm taking.
Yeah, I kind of gotta agree. I think I'm gonna go with the Nuggets too. Even though it's gonna kill my bet because I had OKC to win the championship like 5 months ago. Got a good odds on it. Yeah, I think Denver's probably gonna close them out here in Game 7. So
So
I
if
think we're
Oklahoma City wins by 25, you won't see us next week.
Honestly, though, the thing is OKC should win.
They're playing at home. You know, I mean,
Well, the problem is like they're relying on, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, and Lorenzo Dort. And they're so up and down right now.
Williams was like 3 for 16. Like,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
but he got,
6 points.
20 rebounds and assists, so he's doing other things, but you have to score.
No, their offense, they're struggling on offense.
Right. They're not
So
scoring like they normally do.
they're not really getting in transition, off, turnovers and, applying pressure. But we knew this was going to be a tough series. It's like I wasn't really, was kind of on the fence because it is kind of like how the Nuggets, how they help out Jokic.
Right. Should this be the Western Conference Championship?
No, no,
You
because
think Minnesota is better than these two teams?
well, right now Minnesota, I think is just because I mean it's not just Ant so much. It's like when Ant, if it's not Ant when he struggles at points, and especially um, in the first half, he's getting more support.
Well, Julius
They could
Randle's
play
killing it.
go. I mean, yeah, and he's shooting threes. I mean, their front line they could play big. They can go small. Um, I don't right now. I think they're becoming the team to beat right now. I'm not quite sure if they're heads above everybody else better. Um, but right now they did have an easier road because Steph was hurt. I mean, remember game one, Steph was just tearing up Minnesota and then he got hurt. So but I'm just gonna say because just the way that they played the last couple of games. And I don't even think they've been playing. You've seen the best basketball from them.
For
I think,
Minnesota?
yeah, I think they could,
Yeah. The issue I have for Minnesota is that, they shoot a very low percentage from time to time, and that hurts you in a series.
yeah.
So let's say Minnesota doesn't matter OKC Denver comes out. Who wins that game? That series. Can Minnesota beat both teams coming out of the other side?
I It's a toss up, really. It's those three teams are kind of all kind of equal to me. Because before, everyone before they fired Malone, Nuggets were what, still the 3 seed, right?
Right.
When that happened. And so it was like weird, but they're still a really good team and they have Jokic.
Yeah, I think I would say that if it's OKC in Minnesota, I would give the edge to Minnesota just because I think you can get you throw out more bodies when you start talking about okay, you Julius Randle's playing so good right now that your inside outside game. I think DiVincenzo's kind of struggled at points in the last series, but he's not going to struggle like that. He's going to start hitting his shots. Conley, um, and
Playing
then
really well, actually. Conley is.
yeah, and then you got Mitchell, and then Nas Reed, it's like, okay, we're gonna load up down the bottom. We're gonna take away Julius Randle and then here comes Nas Reed. I mean, they have a lot more options. I think against Denver though, I think Jokic, of course, is the X factor, and he kind of makes Gobert look stupid, and it seems like that could psychologically play into the hands of. And if Murray's going to continue to play as well as he's playing, I'm going to give the edge to Denver.
So you think if it's Minnesota, OKC, Minnesota wins. If it's
Yeah,
Denver, okay, or or Denver wins.
yeah, but again, it's very even
So you're
across.
saying Steve lost his money.
Right. Like you just lost my bet, Wes.
Yeah. What bet?
Although I don't disagree right now because of the way each team's playing. I mean, I think that's pretty accurate. Like Gobert doesn't have the skill set to guard Jokic. OKC doesn't have the player talent to beat Minnesota right now. If OKC plays like they can, it's hard to beat them. The problem is they're so up and down. You don't know who on their bench is going to come up like Caruso or Joe. Like sometimes plays, sometimes does. It's like, what are you guys doing? This dude hits like six threes in a game, then he plays no minutes next game.
And we're talking about Caruso here. I mean, I know he's been a big factor off the bench, but I mean, you think you're Minnesota, you can find a way to just kind of X that component out. You're not, I'm not so much worried so much about Caruso as I'm worried about other bench players on the Nuggets at this point.
Or
Now,
or on even Minnesota, like Nico Walker Alexander, for example, like way better than Caruso, right?
yeah, yeah, and even though DiVincenzo plays in spurts, I mean he's not gonna play as badly as he did last series, probably most likely. Um, yeah, I just now the Nuggets bench hasn't been that great. And then all of a sudden tonight they just light it up. If they continue to play like that, then I think they cause Minnesota problems.
Yeah, Strother had a great game off the bench, but mostly it's because Christian Brown,
Yeah.
had a huge game. So, all right, well, let's wrap up NBA here. Finals. What's your pick? Who's in the finals? Name the two teams. I'm gonna go with the Pacers and the Nuggets. What do you guys got?
I can't say because I don't want to jinx my team.
Just choose them then.
No, I can't do that.
No, you got to do it.
No, and I'll jinx them.
Derek, what are we doing?
I'm abstaining.
Uh,
What do you got, Wes?
I I got to go with Indiana too, and I'm taking Minnesota.
Minnesota, Indiana. All right, Derek, you got to choose one.
Minnesota and New York.
There you go.
There we go.
I think that's a good possibility. So
No,
we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah.
And then it will be the Carl Anthony Towns, Julius Randle.
Oh, the comeback, right?
Yeah.
Let's see whose trade was better.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll wrap up NBA there. We'll come right back with some NFL. All right, we're back. NFL update, HSC Podcast 152. So just cover basketball. Check it out if you didn't listen. And so here's football update. So before we get into football update, this is football talk. And so this was an interesting take, and I want to go through this with us. And so we're talking about basically a playoff bracket of best running backs. So they put these running backs into a bracket and then broke it down to number one. And I want to compare our take to their take.
Is
So
this like Gen Z people that don't even
no,
know
no,
about
no.
football?
Dude, this guy's like 100 at least.
Okay.
Okay, so first side of the bracket, and so each bracket there's one, two, there's eight on each side. So eight on this side, eight on that side. And we'll go to a number one. So Jim Brown, Thurman Thomas.
Jim Brown.
Wes,
Yeah, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown. Bo Jackson, Gale Sayers.
This is not fair.
Are we talking
Oh no.
It's the category is best running back ever, and you're rating them too.
Jeez.
I'm taking Sayers. So you guys make your choice.
I got to take Sayers too. That's just not fair though.
I'm taking Bo.
Sayers taking Bo.
If Bo doesn't get hurt, he could be in the Hall of Fame in baseball and
Yeah.
football.
Okay, Adrian Peterson, Eric Dickerson.
Dickerson.
Man, that's tough. I'm taking Dickerson.
I'm taking Peterson.
All right, so we got two different. Frank Gore, Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith.
Yeah, I'm Smith.
Other side, Walter Payton, Tony Dorsett.
Peyton.
Yeah,
Hey,
Payton.
it's not fair again. Damn.
But Tony Dorsett, man, that's
Dude,
tough.
Tornado's good.
OJ Simpson, Marshall Falk.
Oh,
OJ.
yes, dude.
I'm taking Marshall.
Oh. I'm taking OJ.
All right. LT, LaDainian Tomlinson, Earl Campbell.
Gotta take Tomlinson. Even
Over
though I got an Earl
Campbell?
Oh.
Campbell jersey.
I got to take Campbell.
I got to take Campbell too. LT did a lot of things, man, but Earl Campbell. Curtis Martin, Barry Sanders.
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 So now we go back up to the other side top. We all took Jim Brown. So now you got Sayers, Bo Jackson,
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
Yeah,
So Wes, you got Jim Brown, Gale Sayers.
Jim Brown.
Jim Brown. Dickerson, Emmett Smith, or Adrian Peterson, Emmett Smith? That's a tough one.
Dickerson.
I think Wes, you took Peterson, right?
Yeah.
So Peterson, Smith. I'm going Dickerson.
I'm going Smith.
So up the top here we got Walter Payton, OJ. Walter Payton, Marshall Falk.
Peyton.
Payton.
Sanders.
Sanders, Earl Campbell, Sanders, LT. It's got to be Sanders, right?
Yeah.
What do you think, Wes?
Sanders.
Sanders. Jim Brown, Eric Dickerson.
Brown.
Brown.
Peyton, Sanders.
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 Sanders. Yeah, I hate to say that. God damn it. Brown, Sanders.
Sanders.
So
Sanders.
Oh man, I really want to say Jim Brown, but I'm gonna go with Sanders. But Jim Brown was special, but so was Barry Sanders.
And I think that's our thing is we didn't watch Jim Brown live, so
Right.
that's why we watched Barry Sanders live. And when we watched Barry Sanders, you're like, wow.
I've seen enough Brown highlights though to be like, wow.
And you got to take into fact Brown was on good teams. Sanders
Right.
never really was.
That's true. All right, so broke it down. They said Jim Brown.
Yeah.
We say Barry Sanders.
Was it Brown Sanders in the finals?
Yeah, it was very close. The only difference is they had OJ over Walter Payton.
Oh.
That was a big difference one there.
Well, they had Dickerson over Emmett.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were in this similar thought process, which is interesting.
Well, I just look, it's like, who would I want on my team?
Yeah. Yeah, Dickerson for sure, Brown for sure. It's surprising me that eight OJ went so high on their side.
Well, he had over 2,000 yards in a season.
Right.
I mean, and he played on a crappy team.
I still don't know that I'd take him over Peyton. That's a tough one. All right, so NFL update. So first of all, being a Raiders guy, what do you think of the Derek Carr retirement?
I mean, it's so interesting because they've coined it on the X, the Car Wars, because you had Raider fans that no matter what were like diehard Derek Carr fans, and then the Raider fans that hated his guts. I I thought Carr was a good quarterback, not like a great quarterback. I don't think the Raiders gave him much to work with. So I feel bad about that for him. And it's kind of sad that he kind of just goes out with a limp, because they remember, if you think about it, last year when he played at the very beginning, the Saints looked really good.
Right.
And then everyone started getting injured, and then he got injured, and it wasn't the same team. So it's sad, but I mean, he had a good career.
Yeah, I think he did too. Like, I'm not I'm a bit of a Derek Carr fan. Wes, what do you think about the Derek Carr retirement?
Obviously, he does have problems with his shoulder, but I think it's just a plethora of things. It's like, um, you know, it seems like the him, getting hurt at the end of his career is kind of what kind of derailed him at the beginning of his career. And when he got hurt during, I remember because it was Christmas Eve when he got hurt against the Colts, and I literally could not eat Christmas Eve dinner. I have my Derek Carr jersey. I'm like, dude, this is stupid. How can this happen? And it kind of knocked him off track. He wasn't as good, going forward for a couple years. Um, and yeah, he didn't have a lot around him through most of his career with the Raiders. He had spurts of really good moments and he had spurts of really bad moments. But overall, I'd say that he was a good quarterback. Just it wasn't, maybe his personality didn't really mesh with a lot of people. It's just, unfortunate that I thought with the Saints he could maybe take get to another level playing in a the bad division, no Chiefs, you know. But that's what it is. Now they're tanking for Arch. So
Yeah, I wonder like how that much hurt him, going to the Saints and then them not having good seasons. to just like maybe, I have shoulder problems. I'm done.
Yeah,
He's got enough money.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got tons of money.
I think football it became less, you know, I think he's kind of like less he's probably not as committed because, again, he's probably got a lot of other interests. He knows he's really not going to be a top 10 quarterback anymore. Um,
And they brought in lots of young quarterback talent.
well,
I think they knew that he wasn't coming back.
Right.
it it seems, yeah, they knew that, and I still think that the Saints took it kind of looking at the quarterback position, bringing in a rookie, the way teams are going to start looking at rookies going forward. Hey, you know what? Yeah, we drafted Shu at the 40th, second round, 40th pick. He's been injured. We know he's been injured, but there's arm talent. He can run. Um, he doesn't have a lot of he hasn't played a lot in college, so that's kind of a you know
Well, they just got Rattler though too, and he played a lot last year.
yeah, they got Rattler, but I still think that if you're hanging your hat that Rattler is going to be your future, I think it's not accurate what the front office think. I think the front office thinking, you know what, we really do have a chance at one of these quarterbacks, especially Arch next year.
Right.
And so why not throw these guys out there? Let's see if Shu can play, if he can stay healthy. Let's see if Rattler. I just don't think that they're looking at Rattler really as the future there. I think they really are looking at next year's draft. If you can't get Arch, because I don't think they can be that bad. But who knows?
Is this a tank year?
I
Is tank year for the Saints?
I've seen pictures on the wires of Arch in a Saints uniform, and they're basically saying they're taking for Arch.
But Arch might not come out.
Well,
Then they'll tank next year. I mean, it's like,
Arch.
I mean, it's like
You think? I mean, I think Arch would probably come out though for the Saints. That's a bit of a family thing, and that's the kind of family that does that.
yeah.
Although it didn't really help the name Archie's career going to the Saints.
No,
No,
but he still was a Saint.
yeah, and I think if you're looking, that's what I was probably short-sighted when I was looking at the whole Shador thing there. They're looking at like, well, that's not a bad idea, but what's a better idea is we know Arch.
Right.
We know that his dad, and we know, how it would fit here. Now, you want to talk about being the only show in town. If Arch came there, again, you don't have baseball, you got a basketball team really nobody cares about. You got college football, that's it. So it's like Arch comes there, he owns,
Well, yeah, I agree with that. Talk about you mentioned Shador. Have you guys seen any of the mini camp rounds up to this point?
You mean the footage? Him? Yeah, I've seen him throw football.
Throwing interceptions all day.
No, I didn't see that. I just saw him throwing to wide open guys. I was like, that's good.
I mean, it almost looks like Dylan Gabriel though is having a better rookie camp.
Well, he's there. They're going to groom Gabriel to do better than Shador. I already can tell that because they don't want to look stupid by saying, "Oh, we drafted Gabriel first."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, Shador is. Hey, that's just like, hey, we can get value for Shador. We can move Shador. Someone's going to want Shador. Maybe we'll see.
I mean, if he keeps having camp this way, they're not.
Well, there's preseason. there's,
Right.
you never know what's going to happen when it comes to Flacco. I mean, Flacco's like 100. It's like in football years, he's 100. But it's like you never know what's going to happen with the Browns in general. I mean, they're in a division with the Ravens, the Bengals, and then if the Steelers actually had a quarterback, you know, they're just trying to figure out what their future is going to be. It's
Yeah.
not going to be Deshaun
Browns
Watson.
are in a tough position this
Yeah.
year.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Not to keep beating a dead horse with Shadur, but yeah, he's not looking great. And so we'll see how he plays out when it comes closer to preseason and other things like that. Schedule wise, let's jump into schedule for a second. And we'll just start with you guys with the Raiders. Like, what do you guys think of the Raiders schedule this year?
I just saw it this morning for the first time, and it doesn't look as terrible as other years, I guess, but we'll see.
I mean, they get the AFC South.
Yeah, it's South, so you're playing
Yeah,
Carolina.
that's good for them.
Yeah.
And then they get the NFC East.
Yeah. And don't they get the Eagles?
Yeah, they got
Commanders,
Commanders, Eagles, Cowboys,
Giants.
Giants. Yeah. Of those, talk about those 4 games for a second. So Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders. Realistically, what's the Raiders' record against them?
2-2.
You think they're losing Eagles and Commanders?
Oh, they're away at both those games. Eagles, they're in Philadelphia and they're in Washington. So, and then they play the Giants and Cowboys at home.
Yeah, I would say 2-2 as well. Even though the Cowboys could be a coin toss. I mean, it's probably going to be a close game. But yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
I mean, at least you have them at home.
yeah, I'm more worried about the division overall. I mean, the Chargers, I think, are going to be better.
Man, I think the Raiders have a favorable schedule, though, when I look at it.
Well, yeah, they got the Browns at home. I mean, they got the Titans at home. I mean, when you're talking about your road games, I mean, yes, you play at the Patriots week 1, but the Patriots, you don't know. It might take them a few weeks to kind of gel. I mean, they got a lot of new players. You don't know what you're going to get with the Colts. You got the Bears at home. I mean, to me, you should be favored there. You got the Jaguars at home. You know, they have to go play the Texans? They'll probably lose that game. I mean, again, what are we like? We're talking about, are they a threat at all? No. Could they be 500? Yeah. What happens when you're 500? You don't get Arch Manning. So, am I excited about their schedule? I don't. I kind of just, we're kind of like in this no man's land when you know, we're talking about getting a franchise quarterback, and there's going to be a few of them, I think, in this next draft. And we need to suck enough, I think, to get one so we don't have to give up the house to get one.
Well, what's the Raiders' schedule, or what's the Raiders' record this year, based on the schedule you guys seen?
I could see 9-8, 10-7.
I would venture more towards 9-8 or 8-9.
But think about it. How many games last year would have the Raiders have won if they had a competent quarterback? Not like a great quarterback, just a competent quarterback.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
And Gino's that guy.
Yeah, I mean he's
yeah. As,
top
as long as
15, top 10.
as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I mean, here, just look at Patriots week 1. I'm gonna say win.
Chargers
Chargers at
week 2.
home, loss. Commanders loss. 1-2. Bears win 2-2. Colts. I'm just gonna give it 2-3. Titans 3-3. Chiefs 3-4. I mean, you go down the line, then you're 4-4 when you come into November 6th playing the Broncos. It's yeah, it could go 10-7 or 8-9.
Yeah, you're
Something
right there at
area.
that 500.
Yeah. And if you really want to blow, I mean, you could really finish it out at 10 or 7-10. I just don't see them as a 5-win team or 6-win team.
Right.
They're kind of in that no man's land.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for them. Because I think they look at their schedule, they're probably a 500 team. So you're right there back in the middle of the draft. Look at the Bears schedule. Bears got a tough schedule.
Someone ranked it the hardest in the NFL today.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at it, I'm not optimistic. You got, obviously your division, but then you're playing the Ravens and the Bengals and the 49ers and
Commanders.
the Commanders
Well, at least you get the
and the
Cowboys at home.
Eagles.
And the Eagles.
So
You got
there's
to play at the Ravens. Boo.
there's a lot of outside of their division games that,
The
I'm not
Niners.
really
This one's
feeling
this
good
one's
about.
this one's great. You got to play at the Ravens and then next week at the Bengals.
Right.
That sucks.
Well, you got to go at the Eagles and at the Packers
Yeah.
back to back.
Yeah, it's kind of brutal. I mean,
So-
as the Niners.
And then if the Steelers get Rodgers, that's not good for the
Yeah, but then
Bears.
you got to play the Steelers, which, yeah. So not super optimistic about the Bears schedule either. I also saw a lot of people talking about it as one of the harder schedules.
Colin Cowherd picked them second. They're going to finish second in the division.
Yeah, well,
You pick the Packers first.
I don't
But the
know. I'd be
schedule didn't get
disappointed
released
with that.
Oh, who knows?
Well, so so that's Bears and Raiders schedules. Let's not dig deep into other schedules. Let's wrap NFL here because we got a lot more NFL coming down the road, so we'll keep getting into that. But rookie fantasy football drafts. Is there any rookies for people to draft in their fantasy football league? What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, come on, man. Gentry's probably a first round pick.
So Austin Gentry, I mean, obviously you should pick him, right? At some point. What do you think Gentry does in his rookie year? 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards,
Yeah, somewhere around there.
maybe 8, 7, 8 touchdowns.
Yeah. Well, where would you rank him going into the NFL this next year of fantasy football running backs?
Well, that's a good question too.
Yeah.
Is he top 10?
I would think so.
Yeah, he's got to be top 10.
You got because you can't think also. This is where with fantasy it's different. Is you got to think about touches, not about who's
Right.
better. So you got Derrick Henry, you got Jacobs, you've got Barkley. Do you still you got to still kind of roll the dice with McCaffrey, right?
Yeah, you got to take McCaffrey.
Um,
You're going to take a San Diego running back, right? Or
but
not San Diego, oh, the LA Chargers. Sorry.
you're not going to take Hampton before Genty, though.
No, probably not.
Plus, you got Najee Harris there, so they're going to be sharing carries.
Right. But would you take Najee over Genty?
Would you take Najee over anybody? Come on, man. No one takes Najee Harris.
He's had 1,000 yards every season he's played.
Yeah, but we're talking fantasy football, not like
He
school.
gets touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't. He's gonna, but Hampton's gonna take his carries.
So you think Ashton Genty's going to outscore Najee Harris in fantasy football?
Yeah.
Write that one down. Let's put that on a short.
I mean, it's because who's going to get the more touches? Who's going to be more opportunities?
Right.
What we have Gibbs,
Oh, yeah. Gibbs is probably
John Robinson.
Bijan's top. I would say he's close. I'll put him in the bottom top 10.
Yeah.
So he might be what, a second round pick, third round pick?
I bet you in most drafts he's gone by the second round. He's
Second
never
round.
third round.
Is Genty the top picked rookie this year in fantasy football?
I would think so.
Yeah,
Not Cam Ward?
Quarterbacks, come on.
Yeah, people don't pick quarterbacks early.
a sleeper would be Tyler Warren. You know, just as tight end.
Right.
What about Colston Loveland?
Come on. Let's give Steve a break here.
Yeah, Wes just has to laugh about
we can talk about Caleb too, but we're not going to do that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know that there's a lot of offensive picks,
Yeah, I mean,
rookies that you would take.
I mean, Tatora McMillan. I mean, but that just doesn't jump out at you. You know, he'll probably have a nice season, but that's not someone you're going to reach for. You know,
No, but you might
You're not-
take
you're
him.
not.
You might take him 10th, 11th round, though.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, but you know, we're kind of talking like
Right. Who would you take first?
rounds here in a sense.
But that you might be taking Ted McMillan as one of the top 5 rookies in the 11th round.
Well, I don't know, all the running backs, because you got Hampton, you've got Judkins, Henderson, right? I mean,
Are you going to take them though, or like how early are you going to take those guys?
well, probably before the 11th round.
Oh yeah, I mean, and then you want to talk just first round picks that are rookies. I mean, are you really going to take Golden? You know, it's like there's too many other options on the team.
Right.
Of course, you're going to eventually take them, but yeah, there's just not those playmakers that the wide receiver position that really jump out at you in the first round.
But why would you take these rookie running backs when you could? Because they're obviously most of them are going to be flex, right? Why wouldn't you just take a receiver?
What, rookie receiver or
No, just regular
Just a
receiver.
regular.
I'm just saying that it's just pushing back a lot of the rookies. Like I was trying to think about like how many rookies are going to go in the first 5 rounds.
Well,
or so.
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
not many, right?
I don't see that many. I mean, you're not taking a quarterback. I mean, Tyler Warren, yeah. But besides that, you're taking Genty, maybe Hampton. And beyond that, I can't see who you actually take. Besides that,
Maybe
Well, I mean-
maybe Burden, I guess. Burden might get some
Burden,
catches. But but there's just not a lot that I
Well,
would
I'm
think.
looking here at this is fantasy football. What is this? Fantasy Pros. And they have tier lists. And tier one is just four people. It's Barkley, Chase, Robinson, Jefferson. Um, but we're looking, Gentee is ranked number 11th to overall. The next rookie,
That's the question: is how far back is it after Genty, and then
um,
how far back is it in total?
it's Hampton at 53.
Jeez,
And then Travis Hunter at 59.
right. Those are both fifth, fourth round picks, right?
Yeah. McMillan 64, Judkins 66.
Which still are kind of questionable.
Yeah, they are questionable.
I might push them. I mean, you could take them at fifth and sixth rounds, maybe seventh round.
Well, is it Judkins going to be the starter probably in Cleveland?
I mean, we'll see.
It should be.
You would think he would be. But you got to think they're going to play a little bit of running back by committee.
Oh yeah, they got okay, here we go. Running back 25 for Judkins. And McMillan wide receiver 30.
McMillan, I think, could be an earlier pick, but I don't know. I'm picking him in the third round. But is it wide receiver 30 or 30 overall?
Wide receiver 30.
Oh, geez, yeah. So he's not even, dude. That could be eighth, ninth round. Well, we'll have plenty of time to dig into more fantasy football. That was just one of the things I was curious about. Like, I just didn't think this rookie draft was as strong as some of the other ones offensively.
Well, that's
So
why my dynasty league I traded the farm to get Genty because that was
right.
like I was like there's no one else
The only
that's gonna
one,
have an impact.
right? All right, well, we'll wrap up NFL there. We'll come right back with our movie reviews. So we'll see you in a minute. All right, we're back. Finish up the NFL updates and jumping into our weekly movie review, HSC Podcast 152. Movie review has been very, very popular. Lots of comments. Again, any movie reviews, let us know. Just shoot in the comments. We'll take care of you. So this week, in honor of my Disney trip, we are doing Disney movie reviews. And if you haven't been to Disney World, guess what? Florida sucks. It's hot, humid, but it's fun. So make your decision. If you like to spend a lot of money to sweat a lot, you'll love it. But the three Disney movies we got, let's see. Let's go first with Derek's movie. So we're working on Star Wars movie here, Rogue One. Wes, why don't you just give us a quick overview? What do you think of Rogue One?
It's, you know, as far as like the newer Star Wars movies, it's probably my favorite. Just the way it's made. The battle scenes at the end are just superior to the other movies. Um, it's such a long scene where they go and they have to go and get the plans for the Death Star. Um, I thought Felicity Jones played a really good character, and no, of course they got Andor, who's great in the movie. Supporting class,
It
special
also
effects
makes
are
a great
amazing.
spin-off series too, right?
Yeah, Andor, it's really popular spin-off series. Um, The cameo of Darth Vader is probably my favorite part of the movie.
It's the
Um,
best.
I'm not gonna give it away. It's Darth Vader. Just use your imagination. But it's not like the I want to say I'm more of the Darth Vader Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader. That dude's scary. It is also scary when your first memory as a child is Darth Vader going to the theaters and watching him chop off a boy's hand. Um, and So that's the Darth Vader that's in Rogue One. So you won't be disappointed at that. It it's a little longer in spots in the beginning, but the ending is so good. You just appreciate the how they even made that battle scene. Um, it's uh, it's not the happiest ending in the world because you kind of know if you watch Star Wars, you know how it ends. Um, when they get the plans for Death Star, and then there's an appearance by I guess Princess Leia in a sense, which is kind of interesting. But
Yeah,
yeah,
do what you gotta do.
yeah, it's the cast. I cast was great. The guy that played Joan Tolkien was interesting. Yeah, it's probably my favorite of the newer ones. Even I like it better than the Attack of the Clones and
Force Awakens,
Revenge of
stuff
the
like that.
yeah, of course the Force. Yeah. I like the Force Awakens, but I like Rogue. I'm partial to Rogue One.
You know what I enjoy about Rogue One though was they really capture the essence of the old movies in Rogue One with, obviously they use the same type of cinematography, they use the same similar type of droids and ships and just, the viewables. It makes you feel like it happened before Star Wars 4, right? Because that's really what they're trying to do. They're trying to fit something into the middle there to help you understand how they got to getting the Death Star plans. And they had all of the CGI in the world, but they made it very similar to if I was watching the prequel to New Hope. Which that's what I really enjoyed about the movie in general. It's very slow in the beginning, and it's a long movie. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, right?
Mhm.
But you're 100% right. It's worth it in the end. The last scene is worth it to me because how much do we remember that first scene in New Hope when Darth Vader comes through the door?
Yeah,
That's our scene, right?
it even his voice is he kind of the voice in the New Hope is just like when he's yelling, it's like okay, this dude's scary. Like this is the bad guy, and there's no doubt about it. This like and it I can't get out of my head listening to some of the Darth Vader and like Revenge of the Sith when he's like, no, I don't think I can ever get that
Where's
out of my head.
Padme?
Yeah, but it's like what happened to Darth Vader? This is what Bart. I mean, this is how this all went down. Like, and then to see him at Rogue One, you're just like, oh, thank you.
They also made it the difference between that same scene because it's really the same scene in New Hope and the end of Rogue One, right? Where he's breaking through the Carillion cruiser. Actually, I don't know if it's a Carillion. I can't remember the name of it, but whatever. He breaks into it, and then in the beginning of the first movie, it's just a lot of shooting and stuff like that. But in Rogue One, he's blocking all the blaster shots and then using the force to move people around, and that's really cool, right? Because that's how you imagine Darth Vader. And so overall, I think if you can get through the whole movie, it's a great movie in general. There's a lot of like story building in the beginning, which is slow, but it's easy to get into, as a Star Wars fan. And so it finishes really strong. Cinematography is great. The essence of capturing old Star Wars, I think it's the best movie for that as well. So, Derek's your movie. Give us your overview.
Well, I picked it because, well, one is because Andor season 2 has just came out. Well, is out already. It's finished. And thinking of Disney Star Wars because, the prequels and then the 4 through 6 were before Disney bought it. So what do you got? You got the 3 after, Solo, and Rogue One. And I think Rogue One is probably the 4th best Star Wars movie behind the original 3.
Wow, that's bold.
Is it though? I feel like, I mean,
I like the first three. I'm not gonna lie.
I,
I
I,
think they're
I,
good. Maybe
I,
not one as good as 2 and 3, but they're all pretty good.
I, I don't dislike them that. There's just things and I don't like that much. I don't like the love crap and the writing was not good. But I when it came to the end of those movies, I could stomach or the beginning of Revenge of the Sith when
Dude,
he fought Count Dooku. That was awesome.
yeah, there's
That beat
some good scenes.
the lightsaber scenes were awesome in the first three. Yes, I like that. I loved Obi-Wan. I loved
Or
Ewan
like in the
Gray. I
beginning,
love
and
Darth Maul. But there's things in it you're just like, man, couldn't you do a little bit better? I mean, this is Star Wars. You're not making some freaking horror movie or some stupid shit. This is Star Wars. Okay? Your first 2 Star Wars were epic. It's like I mean, the first Star Wars up for Best Picture, a sci-fi movie. I mean, it hasn't happened too many times in the history of cinema.
right.
It's like, and everyone was anticipating, oh man, Phantom Menace. Everyone's like, everybody went and saw that movie. That was the most anticipated movie almost ever. And
But the opening scene of Phantom Menace with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan
yeah.
doing all their stuff, that's pretty cool. And then the Darth Maul scene again with them, those are both pretty cool scenes.
Oh, Darth
and
Maul.
then there's Jar Jar Binks and the Gundams.
The Gundams are like they're like the more dumbed down version of the Ewoks.
Yeah, they're not even as good as the Ewoks.
No, the Ewoks were smarter.
And then and I feel bad because I guess he got harassed constantly, and that's, Star Wars fans, but Jake Lloyd's Anakin was just like, oh God, it
Right.
was ridiculous. And the whole pod, what could you, yeah. So Phantom Menace is not better than Rogue One because of that stuff. The second movie, the whole, like you said, the whole time they're on Naboo and the love story, like the cringy dialogue between
I mean,
Anakin
that's the
and
best.
Padme.
I mean, if you can't, I mean, we know it's George Lucas. I mean, he's probably never been in a lot of those situations. I get it. Well, then get a girl to write those scenes.
Yeah.
It's very simple. That's why you have co-writers. That's why you have multiple writers.
Right.
And someone to write it off. Like, if I was an editor and I saw that, I said, George, dude, this is not going down. This is not going on.
There's some pretty cool scenes, especially in Clones.
Oh, dude, Mace Windu?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my favorite scene. When Mace Windu comes in and with the purple lightsaber, I was like, okay, it's going down now.
Yeah, but the whole, like, you have to fast forward half the movie because of the love story parts.
Oh, yeah.
And then the third movie, we already went over it. No. Come on, man.
I almost cried when I saw it, just out of like, how could he do this?
So, so you're putting Rogue One ahead of these ones. The movie itself, though, like, tell us what makes it great.
Because it does remind me of the original trilogy that we watched
Right.
because it is darker. It's not happy. It's not like bright lights. There's no brightness to
Yeah.
it. It's darker times. It's like the sad story. It's not a good, it's like an Empire Strikes Back. It's not a happy ending. I mean, it
Yeah.
kind of is in a way, but not for everybody. I'll just like when me and Caitlin watched it for the first time and she had the ending and she's like, "What?" I'm like, "You kind of expected that if you know."
But they always do a good job of having good robots in the movies, and K2 in that movie is really good.
Alan Tudyk.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and then the whole message is about having hope,
right.
and that's why I think it. And you didn't have like the furry little kid friendly toys or anything in this.
Right. No, it's I mean, it's good in that sense, in that for especially for us who watched, the original one as the first one. Like if you watched New Hope as your first ever Star Wars, you always wondered, like, how did they get there? Like, how did we get to that point where the droids and Princess Leia is shooting off the plans, right? So it's a really good prequel, I think, in that sense. All right, well, Rogue One, good choice. Check it out. That's our review on it. Let's go to Pirates. So Wes went Pirates of Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. You couldn't pick the first one. Uh, I'll lead off with this one. I did enjoy the movie. And what I really enjoyed about the movie was number one, I think even though as good as Johnny Depp was in the first one, he's better in this one, which he makes this franchise. There's no more believable character in many movies that you'll watch than Captain Jack Sparrow. Like he literally encompasses this role better than I've seen from most actors and actresses in a million movies that we've seen. There's good action in it. It's very well done. The sword fight scene is the three-way sword fight scene has got to be one of the coolest scenes in movies. Like when all three of them are going at it with the swords for it, it's got to be 10 minutes,
It is.
which is really cool. But you also have a little bit of outside the box with your Davy Jones and your, dead men pirates, things like that, which makes it a little more fun in the movie. So that helps because it's a long movie and you got to be invested. Because there's points where you start getting lost a little bit. You're like, I'm not sure what's happening right now. But overall, very, very good movie. Um, you just can't take anything away from Johnny Depp. That's the thing. It's like he's so good. And that's why that's what's worth watching just for him. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Derek, what do you got?
Well, I'll start with they paid homage to the ride with the dog and the keys and the jail, which is awesome. Did you see that? Did you go on the ride, Steve?
Yeah, of course I did.
And then how they're trying to get the dog to
Right.
open, and then they did that. Um, for me, it's funny because I thought this was more of a story of Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom's characters, where Kira decided to be more of a pirate, and Orlando was like, "No, I'm steadfast gonna be an honorable man." And that was like for me was the whole cat and mouse game with Keira Knightley and Johnny Depp's characters, where you think is Johnny gonna get the upper hand, or is she what's gonna happen? And what I like about it is she learned from the first movie they can't trust Jack Sparrow. So I liked that. And then the whole um I love the ending where Barbossa comes back at the end to set up the next movie.
Right.
And then yeah, then Davy Jones is great. Bill Nighy.
Well, and they get the heart, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of setup happening on both sides.
Yeah. It's a whole setup of what's gonna happen in the next movie. Yeah. And then
Obviously, a trilogy or longer. Unfortunate, like the whole the giant octopus squid thing.
Kraken.
Yeah, the crack, whatever you going to call it, right? It's all the same. It's a lot throughout the movie. It's such a big part of the movie. Ultimately taking down the Black Pearl, right?
Yeah. Which the whole first movie was him trying to get back to the Black Pearl.
Right. So, Wes, it's your movie. You picked it. Give us your breakdown.
I again, it's one of those movies that you have the first one, and yes, I like the first one is funner to watch. It's Jack's more, and the first one's great. The second one, it kind of gives you that feel, the ending where it's like, okay, the it's you're under attack and you're trying to escape and you can't. And when I really like the part where he it takes down the Black Pearl is because everyone thought that Jack was just going to take off and leave and ditch everybody. And he's on the boat. He's like, I'm
Right.
gone.
And
I
then
got
he comes
to bed.
back.
I already got what I want. And then he comes back to the ship to go down with the ship. And yeah, what Derek was talking about, the cat and mouse game with Keira Knightley and him, because it's like she, everyone thought that, oh, she's so virtuous and stuff. And she kind of gets him back at the end was cool. And then of course, when Barbossa came back, it has kind of like more of that second bridge movie in a trilogy where, yeah, the bad guys win in that match, and
I like how they make Keira Knightley, though, kind of a bad guy in the
yeah,
sense that Orlando Bloom sees it,
mhm.
with when she's kissing Jack Sparrow, but she's really going to lock him up, but Bloom doesn't know it. And
And,
now she becomes that bad guy a little bit.
and
Or the pirate.
the visual specs and were just amazing. And when it came to Bootstrap, his dad, Bill Turner, there was that subplot with him and his dad, who is a pirate who's basically taken over. He basically just, a slave on the Flying Dutchman, and that whole aspect of it was really dark when you think about it. Davy Jones' locker, and it's just you knew something was going to go down. You knew that okay, that something when you first watch it, you're just like something's going to go down bad. And yeah, scenes, it was amazing. But what makes the movie without Jack Sparrow, there isn't really a great movie. There you can't. The franchise is all about him, and this idea that they were going to do another Pirates without him, I can't see it.
No, when you even in this movie, like when they have some of these random scenes and to stretch the movie out for 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah,
But like when they're on the island at the beginning and
yeah,
he's with the natives and then Orlando Bloom comes in and Roland Turner comes in, those are still the kind of scenes you can't make without
yeah,
Jack Sparrow, Johnny Depp, right?
yeah,
Because otherwise it's boring.
yeah. And in the end, like right before Barbosa, when they're like, "Oh shoot, well I guess Jack's dead," It's like, and the look on Keira Knightley's face is priceless.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty much my fault. It's like, um, yeah, it's, I don't mind long movies. I'll sit there and watch Lawrence of Arabia. I don't care. So it doesn't, it
It's
kind
a
of
good
had an
movie.
epic feel to it too, which I
Yeah.
liked, you know.
It's a good follow-up movie, to the first movie. I don't think they lose a lot with it. I think I think the character turnover from with Johnny Depp and Orlando Bloom works well. So it's definitely worth the watch, and I think it's a great movie. All right, well, let's get into last one here. Still, we're staying with the Disney, and this is Disney's Mufasa, the new Lion King. It's technically, I guess, live action. Still looks a little animated, but we'll call it live action. So, what are you guys' thoughts on this, Derek? Why don't you start?
Well, um, we, me and Caitlin and Grayson, we watched it. We liked it. I like the beginning where you have Zazu telling the story, and then you have Timo and Pumbaa like telling their side of it, wanting to get involved with it. It was interesting. They changed a little bit of the backstory around to fit this movie from the other movies. They made Mufasa and Scar not brothers, but like adopted brothers kind of a thing.
Right.
So that was interesting. But they got a lot of the people back from the other live action. And yeah, I mean, it's a good story about jealousy, and it's good because people were talking about it and they're like, please don't make it a movie where we feel bad for Scar. And you don't. He's a complete jerk. So I like that part. I like that they didn't give him some kind of redemption to it. But yeah, is it as good as like the original animated? No, but it was good. I think it's better than the live action version of The Lion King.
Yeah, I think they did a good job with I guess it's kind of animated. They're trying to make it live action, but it's more realistic looking. And I think they did a good job with that as far as the scenes and making it not feel cartoonish. Just it felt
Right.
more real, but then you have talking animals, which is obviously weird, but they did a good job making it feel more real. Wes, what do you got?
Well, I started watching it last night, and first time I watched it, I fell asleep, and then I woke up, and then around midnight I watched again, and then fell asleep again. So I didn't finish until this morning. But yeah, the technology, I is that live action? The technology is the way it looks is pretty amazing. It's like I don't watch a lot of new stuff when it comes to anime or live action. Um, yeah, just the visual effects are amazing. I don't. I mean, it's I don't know. Movies like Lion King and stuff. It's kind of like tugs at my heartstrings, which I don't like. So I'm like, I'm hesitant to watch. So then I got my dad to watch it with me, and he fell asleep too. So I mean, he was pretty like he liked it to a certain extent. He liked the way it looked. I liked the way it looked. It's just if you're in the mood to actually if you have kids, it's a great movie. you're like me and you're just, you want to watch
Scarface.
Scarface or Donnie Brasco, it's probably not for you. So, but it's
But it's
amazing.
Disney, dude. It's wholesome.
It's wholesome, and that's when it's something I need to implement more in my life. Wholesomeness is good. So I will reintroduce that type of movie watching here. I need probably another couple weeks of just what I usually watch. But yeah.
You just watch a bunch of Disney and rejuvenate your heart, Wes.
I need a cat. That's what I need, or a dog.
Well, so it's typical Disney, right? I like the way that they are changing, or they change at least this from that animated, because animated's fine, but this was actually, it felt a little bit more real, and I actually enjoyed watching that more than an animated version of it.
Yeah, and
So
usually when they use that type of technology, it's the process of the characters speak. Everything's slower,
yeah,
but it's visually like, oh, the detail's amazing, but it's the rendering and everything is slower.
but it still
Except
feels more
now
real. It
it's
feels
so
more real.
real. It,
Yeah,
it looks like it's the technology is amazing.
right.
It must have took them quite a few. Usually movies like that take about 4 or 5 years to make because of all the detail.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
it was, and the story though, the story's good, and I don't know, maybe I missed it, but I don't know that I ever knew the backstory of Lion King. And so for this, it was my first backstory of Mufasa. And I thought it was a cool story of them, traveling across the plain and going from running from the other lions and getting to Malele, whatever you want to call it, the tree of life.
yeah. And the thing is, it within our movie reviews for this week, we just kind of came full circle. Me and Derek had super like hardcore movies where the ending it's questionable and things are very dark and there's all these octopuses destroying and killing people. And then we come for this last movie where it kind of makes you feel good as long as your heart's in the right place, which
Right.
I'll have to watch it again here in about a week or two.
The interesting thing about it is that it's typical Disney though, right? Because there's got to be a message in the movie. And the message is like the jealousy, right? And because that's really what it is with Tanaka, which eventually becomes Scar.
Yeah.
It's like a jealousy over, you lost the girl and now you're jealous.
Well, and that's what your dad said was going to happen.
Right. But isn't that kind of like the story of every dude ever? Like every mad guy because he lost a girl?
You turned her against me.
Oh, there you go. Right? Is that not
You
the
turned
same
her
thing? I mean, let's literally look back on it. Isn't it like Antony and Cleopatra? Like, let's go as far back as you want to
Oh,
go.
dude. You want to talk about an epic. You want to
Adam
talk
and
about a
Eve?
4 hour movie. Cleopatra is probably one of the
Uh,
hardest movies to watch.
but ultimately, isn't that what that movie is about? Like, you watch
Yeah.
the whole movie, there's all kinds of cool things, but ultimately, it's because Scar, Tanaka, whatever you want to call him, betrays Mufasa over a woman.
Dude, what? He doesn't remember the saying.
Yeah. Bros before O's. But it's still good. I actually enjoyed it. So I actually was glad because I haven't seen it. I wanted to watch it, and I give it a good review. I think it's worth a watch.
And when Scar when the you changed the name and stuff, it did make me think of Scarface too.
It's kind of cool though at the end though, right? When they he kind of banishes him but doesn't, and then that really makes you think about what happens in like the future, right? Because
Right.
you're like, he's coming back. Like,
Yeah, it's
you
coming
think
back.
that's the end of him? Like, that's not the end of
And
him.
and when you think
He's
about,
gonna throw you off a cliff someday.
yeah, I mean, when you show mercy like that,
Right.
you're also kind of displaying
Showing
weakness, and
weakness.
you're
Mhm.
displaying weakness, and it's
Yep.
like you're like, you just kind of have to go. See, that's where I come in. I'm like, you just go for the throat.
Just
Like,
killed
what are you
him. You should have
doing?
just killed him right there. Just
But
had
he
the
used to be
elephants
a
trample
merciful king.
A merciful king, yes.
Right. That's what got Gladiator Russell Crowe killed.
Did it?
He should have just killed him.
Oh, that's right.
Should have
Yeah,
just killed him.
yeah. So totally.
He had the chance, but that little boy changed his mind. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
When he comes down, he's got the thing in his hand. He walks out, and then the little boy Lucius runs out. And he doesn't kill him. He should have killed him right there.
All right, it's gotten dark now, dude.
Life lessons.
This was like my one family moment, and it's just turned it dark.
Life lessons. Mercies for the weak.
That's right.
Yeah, sweep the leg.
Sweep the leg. Well, they were actually really good movies. So they were very long. It was a lot of hours between the three of them, but we got it done. Good reviews there. We'll get some shorts out for you to comment on and make sure you guys check them out. But don't forget any comments. Love to hear some movie ideas. Happy to hear it. We'll review those. Any wrap up thoughts here? All right. Well, we'll wrap it there. HSC
Go
Podcast.
Knicks. Go Knicks.
Oh, the Knicks. Man, that's going to be interesting. Hopefully, I mean, not hopefully, but maybe by the next podcast, we'll have that wrapped up and
I'm
see
already
how
sick of the
we came out.
Celtics.
My
So
goodness. NBA playoffs go on for years. It
It is. They like to put 2 or 3 days between each game, so we might have a next one. All right, we'll wrap it up there. We'll see you guys next time.